Okay, I have it now. So this is St. Pius X. The traditional practice is to wear the cord of St. Thomas, but they have allowed a medal of St. Thomas, and that's ordinarily what I wear. I ordinarily wear the medal rather than the cord. Although maybe for Lent I'll wear the cord. The cord can get a bit practically annoying sometimes, which I guess is kind of the point. So yeah, always gotta wear your St. Thomas medal, guys. Always. So now the benefits of turning to St. Thomas as a model for chastity. So when you read, for example, Studiorum Ducem, or yeah, I think Studiorum Ducem is probably the best encyclical for this. But when you read through these treatments of the life and work of St. Thomas, there's something which they emphasize that we often don't emphasize. So what is this? What they emphasize is St. Thomas is called the angelic doctor, not because of sort of how big brained he was, not because of his intense writings on the angels, but because he had the angelic virtue. What's the angelic virtue? The angelic virtue is the virtue of chastity because it makes us like the angels in that we somehow separate ourselves from the pleasures of the sense, which this can also occur in other pleasures of the sense. So when we think about things like when we think about the evangelical councils are meant to undo a triple effect of the fall. And this threefold effect is our the relationship of our uh, higher faculties to above, our higher faculties to below, and then ourselves to the goods of the world. So up, down, out, basically. And up has to do with the counsel of obedience. Obedience is meant to mortify yourself when it comes to those things that are above you. Chastity is meant to mortify yourself with those things that are below you. That means your sense pleasures, sense pleasure, and uh, poverty is meant to mortify you with those things outside of you. So these are why the evangelical counsels are called accidental means of perfection. This is why they're so important. So for St. Thomas, he kind of becomes this representative of somebody whose higher faculty, so his intellect and will, uh, his higher faculties are able to detach from its slavery to the lower faculties. So in this, when we're able to somehow detach from the mortifications of our body or the pleasures of our body or whatever, when we're able to detach from that, when we're able not to be controlled by that, our intellect is free. And when our intellect is free, we become like the angels who are subsisting intellects without bodies. So that's why chastity is known as the angelic virtue. So if you think about St. Thomas's intellect without thinking about St. Thomas's mortification of his sense pleasures, and the fact that after his after his interaction with the woman, which I'll get into in a second, after his interaction with the woman, he never had an inordinate movement of his sense pleasure after that. Because of this, if you don't think about these two as vitally connected, then you're not going to understand St. Thomas as a person. The reason he was so brilliant was because he was so chaste. That has everything to do with it. His intellect, yes, it had immense natural powers, but these natural powers were not hindered by any sort of attachment to sense pleasure. So that vital connection right there needs to be understood. So the reason he's taken as a model in this way is not only because his chastity had such manifest effects. I mean, this right here was written because St. Thomas was chaste. All of them back there were written because St. Thomas was chaste. This happened. This apotheosis happened because St. Thomas was chaste. It's not just because there's those manifest effects that we can see, feel, read, study. It's not just because of that. It's actually because of also a story from earlier in his life that can often act as Actually, if you look at the medal, let me see if I can take it off. I'm not a woman, so I'm not used to having necklaces on. So if you look at the back of this, what you see, I know you guys definitely can't see it. Let's see. No, it's not going to go into focus. But anyways, if you look on the back of this, there's a image of Saint Thomas and two angels next to him. And what is this image about? Well, this image has to do with the fact that Saint Thomas, when he was a young man, he was in a castle and he was uh, detained by his brothers, and he wanted to become a Dominican, and they wanted him to not become a Dominican because the Dominican order at that time didn't have high repute because it was one of the newly founded orders. So they jailed him in the family castle until he would repent of this. And obviously, that didn't work. He had a copy of Lombard sentences and a copy of the Bible. It said that during this time he memorized the Bible. I like the story, and it's an early story, so I'm just going to say it. He memorized the whole Bible while he was there, and he actually interacted with his sisters, and he was able to convince one of his sisters to become a Benedictine. So one of his sisters was a nun from this. So his brothers kind of got fed up with it after sort of minor harassment by them. They decided they were just going to, ruin him. So they found a prostitute and they told the prostitute, "Hey, we're going to give you all this money. Go in there and seduce this guy in there." So St. Thomas was sitting there praying, and this woman comes in. And this is from the earliest biographers, by the way. This isn't like a later story made up. This actually happened. So the woman comes in. St. Thomas recognizes what's going on, and he feels the sort of slightest movement of the sense passions within him. And he decides that he needs to, this is a sort of fight or flight moment right here. And he obviously can't fight, so he's going to fight. So he went and he grabbed a flaming log from the fire, and he chased her out, and then drew with the flaming log across on the door. And then he passed out and had a vision while he was in ecstasy, and it was a vision of two angels giving him this cord to gird around his waist in order to represent his chastity. And after that, he never had any movements of the flesh. But we actually still have to this day the original cord that was given to him by the angels. It's very interesting. There's actually been like minor studies of the cord, the nature of the cord, and it seemed like a miraculous object in the way in which it was made and such. And actually, the way it used to happen is you used to be able to go to the church with the cord and get your own cord blessed with that cord, but it's not really a thing anymore, unfortunately. Yes, that is why everyone out there, you should become a member of the Angelic Warfare Crow fraternity. It's very, very, very important. Okay, so let me see.